can sit together.
So I'm getting back here. You can play real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay.
If I you might lose out. Turn out. I'm glad y'all came out. I'm sure I'm all the way up the chairman of the Republican Party of Jack County. I'm on the ballot and I'm opposed. So we're going to do it. You have not signed in up front. We need you to sign in. Documents here. I mean, you had. If you're a candidate and have not signed in, we need to sign in on the candidate who sign in. Okay, one of the things I did not get done today is get our flags picked up at the hospital. It was pouring down rain. I didn't want to get them sopping wet, so I opted not to do that. I have more respect for the flags than that. So we have American flags here. We will use those. And we can say the Texas pledge. Does anybody have a Texas on them anywhere? I usually have a Texas something. We can do a little picture. And we can do the picture. I normally have a, I do, actually, I have not had. That's okay. We can just pledge to the state of Texas. We're in it, we live in it, we love it, and we'll just do that. Okay, so to start off today, though, we are going to open in prayer, which we always do. We need more people to sign in. Are y'all done signing in?
And that's one thing, not like,
We need to save a couple of them, but other than that, doesn't matter. Y'all need to sign in as you come in. We'll go ahead and open up in prayer while we're waiting on them to sign in, and they can just take a pause. Okay. If y'all would stand, please. Father, we just come to you today, and we just ask that you just to join us all together as you always do, and just lift up this group. Just keep the peace, Father. Comfort everybody that's hurting. We just pray for this country, first and foremost, Father. Help us come together. We need to figure that out, Lord. And we know that you can do it. You're big enough. And we know it's your will. And we just ask for that, Father. We just pray for everybody here that they go home safely and get enough rain. And we just pray that this is a very productive and calm meeting, Lord. We just thank you, and we honor you, and love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, we just stay standing. We will pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
No. Honor the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance
to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Okay, y'all make me see. Thank you. Y'all want to sign in if you have not signed in? Y'all want to sign in? You need to sign in if you have not signed in. Okay, the plan today is, I'm not using this agenda. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but it's pretty cut and dry today. We are going to have a few speeches. They're going to be short. We're going to allow our visiting dignitaries to go first. You can ask them a couple of questions. And, sorry. And then, if they need to leave, then they can. So I thought that would just be the more polite thing to do. Sorry. So, first we're going to invite, this is a current sitting justice on the second appeal court of appeals, and he's appointed first by Governor Abbott to replace someone that had resigned. Yeah, and so, I just think he's running against the coming in November. He's taking everybody in.
Good evening. How y'all doing tonight? I'm Mike Wallach, and I am Justice on the Second Court of Appeals, in Place 6, which is in Fort Worth. And for those of you who don't know what the Court of Appeals is, which is not unusual, if, for example, a case was tried in your district court here, or any of the district or county courts across our 12-county region, and someone was unhappy with the result that they got, hard to imagine that happens, but it does happen from time to time. The appeals come to us on the Second Court of Appeals in Fort Worth. It could be criminal, it could be civil, it could be family, it could be probate. Anything but death penalty would come to us on the Second Court of Appeals. Governor Abbott appointed me in September. And prior to that time, I was a district judge in Tarrant County. Before that, I was in practice as a civil trial lawyer for 37 years. One of the things that I've tried to make a point to do and will continue to do is, like I said, we have 12 counties that we cover. And my goal since I was appointed in September is to get out to as many of those 12 counties as I can and be as many of the good folks in those 12 counties that are out here, because we're all voting. And as I said before, you know, as Senator Cruz learned last time around, this is our firewall. Okay? Every vote counts. And the Democrats, if you haven't heard, have made Tarrant County and Denton County their top priorities in the state of Texas to try to turn blue this time. And so we need to show them that Texas, as well as Tarrant and Denton counties, are going to stay red. And all the other 10 counties in our district are going to stay red as well. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to hang around after this is over, because I want to shake hands with everybody. And I got lots of some goodies over here that you want to take with you when we're finished. So thank you very much for having me, and I'll let y'all get that.
Okay, moving right along, we have a representative for Josh Weingartner, who's running for District 13, which is Representative Thornberry's fixing the next district. And we all know, love her, Leslie Thompson.
Good evening. I'm going to read my statement. I'm not taking questions on behalf of Josh, but I would like to read my statement. I'm not his spokesperson. But I'd like to thank you for being here this evening, of course, and participating in this process. And special thanks to Sharon and the Jack County Republican Party for coordinating this forum. This election is important to our country, to our state, our district, and each of us in this room. I'm proud to join you tonight to deliver to you some thoughts on Josh Weingartner, candidate for U.S. Representative District 13. As a lifetime resident of this district, I humbly ask that you join me in supporting conservative Josh Weingartner for U.S. Congress. I have known Josh since our days at McMurray University there in Abilene, and I believe he is the best choice to represent us in Congress. Josh is one of us, and his qualifications set him apart in this crowded field of candidates, some of which moved here from places like Dallas and Washington, D.C., just to run for office. Josh was born and raised in the Panhandle, where he learned the value of hard work and an entrepreneurial spirit. In his 14 years working with the Texas Cattle Feeders Association in Amarillo, Josh has fought for our farmers and our ranchers against burdensome regulations, tax increases, and big city politicians who don't understand where their food and fiber comes from. And this experience can only help our area, enabling Josh to be an effective voice for us in Washington from day one. Josh is a strong Christian, family man, and pro-life conservative, which that would be at the top of my list. Josh is a strong supporter of President Trump and will fight to build the wall and secure the border, cut taxes, defend the Second Amendment, and protect our rural conservative values. From Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls to Bell Helicopter, and Pantex in Amarillo, and all of the communities in between, we can count on Josh, as always, as our advocate for the Panhandle, Texoma, and North Texas above all else. Through hard work and commitment to understanding our communities and local economics, Josh has a broad-based support from individuals and member-driven organizations, and I'm going to name just a few of those. Texas Farm Bureau Ag Fund, Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers, PAC, the Realtors PAC of Texas, and National Association of Realtors, and the state's leading pro-life organization, Texas Alliance for Life. Most recently, Josh is proud to have earned the support, just today, I believe, of Congressman Matt Thornberry and his wife, Sally. One part of the world represents the fabric of our great nation, and we deserve one of our own fighting for us in Washington. Please join me and many others in supporting Josh Weingartner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we still have some chairs open. We have room for chairs over here if somebody would want to get the rest of them out. Trying to find somebody I know. Y'all can fill these chairs up here. Do we have any other upper ballot candidates that can come? And now, not Sonia? No? Okay. Y'all can come sit down. More chairs. Get down there. Okay, I want to welcome everybody here. I don't think I said that well yet. Big turnout, and I appreciate y'all all coming out, and I know the candidates do too. We need to know who we vote for. I write about that all the time, if anybody ever reads my stuff. We have a website, jackscountygop.com, that has all kinds of information. Got copies of the ballot you can print out, you can see that. We have those up here as well. We have Trump stuff over there. And did you bring so much stuff?
I got some more. I got three more hats.
Okay. So we'll have 3 more to add over there. We've already sold part of it. I guess that's all I got. We will begin now with, I'm going to let the candidates that are unopposed speak first. And we will start with Paul.
Come up here. Can we come up here?
I'm a step over, sure.
Okay.
I'm going to get down.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Clyde Watson. I'm Jack County Constable. I've been raised here all my life. I started in law enforcement here in 1988. And I owe a lot to Jack County and its citizens. I love this county. I love the people. I love working with the school districts, everybody here. I've worked under Sheriff. I started under Sheriff Doug Mathis. And before that, I worked some with Mike Fry and Hubert Jackson back then, but on an assistant basis. But I worked for Doug, and then worked for Robert Perry when he was sheriff. Worked a long time with Danny Nash. I went to work for Texas Parks and Wildlife under State Parks Law Enforcement, and I worked out there until I retired in 2015. Then I started reserving for Jack County Sheriff again for Melvin Mayo. Then I come back and I ran for constable and got that. And I really enjoy it. And we're about 3 years into it. And it's a great job. It's a great chance to help people. I do a lot of evictions and writ of garnishments and stuff that you don't like to do, you wouldn't like to do. And some of it I have to do to people I know, my friends. And that tears at your heartstrings, but it's a job, you got to do it. And but you have to treat them with respect, just like you'd want to be treated. And I found out by doing that, it comes back to me tenfold. About 30% of my citations now, I call them on the phone and I talk to them a minute, they come by the office and pick up their own papers. So I don't have to waste your taxpayer dollars on gas and fuel running around trying to catch them at the house. And so it helps all the way around. So, anyway, I've raised here all my life, and that's who I am, what I'm about. So. Any questions?
We can do questions later. We can do questions later.
Okay.
Who's ready for constable?
Good evening, everyone. I know most of you in this room. I've been the county attorney, been your county attorney since 2013. Been very proud to serve you in that capacity. I'm going to follow up on something that Clyde said. We, as prosecutors, are obligated to seek justice, not just convictions, and I take that to heart. Whenever I look at a case, I think, what would the average, normal, good, tax-paying citizen of Jack County think is the right result in this case? And I use that as my guideline. And we try and treat people fairly with respect, but we'll punish the heck out of them if they need it. And anyway, my speech is going to be short because I am unopposed. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support I've received from the citizens here. I feel like I have a good working relationship with the sheriff's office, the gang warden, police department, the DPS troopers. And for those who don't know, my primary obligation is to prosecute misdemeanor offenses in this county. And I also am the juvenile prosecutor. We do the protective orders. We do the mental commitments when we do have one, although we don't have that many because we don't have a mental health facility in this county. But I'm proud to be your county attorney. I appreciate your vote.
Our next one is Sharon Robinson. She is our independent Jack County tax assessor collector. Up for votes, up for, how many times is it? 4 times. Or she's not first.
I'm Sharon Robinson. Most of you I know. I see a lot of faces that I don't know, so I need to shake hands and find out who everybody is. But we're not from Jack County. We've been here for about 42 years. My husband went to work for Halliburton. We'd only been married about a year, and he moved me way down there nearly to Mexico. And I said, "You get me back home." So this was as close as we could get. Wichita didn't need anybody where I was born and raised. I went to Ryder High School. I was an honor graduate. Like I said, a year into marriage, he moved me to South Texas, and about 18 months later, we got back here. I always said I do not want to live in a little town. But after living in a little town and having children, there is no way I would have wanted my kids to grow up in Wichita Falls. Not that there's anything wrong with Wichita. I love going back home and I love where everything is, but you get to know the people, you get to know the community, you can trust who your children are with. And I'll tell you, I am blessed to have ended up in this little community. It touched my heart because I didn't think I ever wanted to be in a small town. But this has been my home for a long time, and I've always worked. I went to work in the tax office in 1992 as a fill-in position. A lady was having a baby and she wanted to have maternity leave, and so I was going to fill in for about 3 months, and it turned into a full-time job. And then in 2006, I became an interim tax collector, and then I had to run that November, and they told me when they asked me to take it, nobody's going to run against you for a 2-year term, so you got it, don't worry about it. And then Earl Smith ran against me. But right before the boxes had all come in, he came in, and he's the one that hired me to come to work there part-time. So, you know, Earl and I got a long time. But he told me, he said, "I didn't want it, I just didn't want it to be handed to you." And I said, "I appreciate that, you kept me on my toes." And ever since then, knock on wood, I haven't had an opponent. I don't look at it as at campaign time I need to beef up how I act and what I do. I feel like I run my campaign every day. By the way I treat people, I treat everybody the same. I don't care if you're the lowest income on the range to the highest taxpayer we have. Everybody has the same rules, and I just try to do that every day. I treat everybody with respect. We try to go above and beyond on our customer service. We'll go down to the curb to wait on people, put their tags on if they need it, if they've had surgery and can't do the stairs, or they're elderly. We have several people that don't need to be doing the stairs, but they will not give it up. We've begged them, let us do it for you, but, you know, they come in. So anyway, with all that being said, I love this community, even though I'm not from here. My kids might be considered Jacksboro people, but I've always felt like my husband and I, we've been married almost 44 years. Don't feel like we'll ever really be Jacksboro people, but, you know, we don't kind of fit in that group because we're not from here. But I love it like it's my home. So, anyway, I'm unopposed again this year. I still want to work. I'm not ready to retire yet. And even though I don't have an opponent, I would appreciate your vote, just to show me that you like what I'm doing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, the last unopposed we have up here is Henry D. Breakwell.
Thanks, Sharon. Well, for you that don't know me, I'm serving as Precinct 3 County Commissioner. That takes in FM4 to Bryson area to the county line south. I was born and raised in Bryson. I've been there all my life, except for the time that I was at Tarleton State University. Whenever I graduated out of Tarleton and come back home, started running cow-calf operation with my dad, and thoroughly enjoyed that. I have one son, Dalton. He's here with me tonight. My wife is at a meeting in Bryson. So, first of all, I want to thank the people of Precinct 3 for allowing me to serve them. I consider it an honor and privilege to serve. I enjoy trying to make things better, and I've had an open mind, but I've also been pretty hard-headed on some things that I didn't really like whenever I took office. One thing that we started doing whenever I took office is we slowed the motor graders down. We went from road gear to trying to work a road, put a crown back, and working ditches. And I took a little heat for that because I wouldn't dump gravel until I thought the road was correct. Because if we can't get the water off the road, we're going to keep having the same issues. It's been a slow process. I appreciate everybody's patience. But that's one of my sticklers. We're trying to get the water off the road. Once again, it's been an honor every day to get up and serve the citizens of Jack County. And I said Precinct 3, but my mindset is also all the citizens of Jack County. And I feel like we have come together very good at some crisis times to help improve Jack County. And I have been very blessed to be a part of that. One was the water problems at Perry. We came together as a county and a commissioner's court and addressed that, and that has been one of the highlights of my serving on the commissioner's court, is to get that water situation, be a part of getting that taken care of. Judge Humphreys done a whole lot of legwork on that. We come together and addressed the issue and got them what they was needing at Perry. Another proud moment for me is we went against some recommendations as a commissioner's court and changed our tax attorneys. And the first week that we had them on the job, they was here and $216,000 was collected. That's money that we're not going to have to tax our local people that's paying their taxes. So that's another one of the proud moments in the commissioner's court. I want to thank you for your support and your confidence. I look forward to serving another 4 years, and may God bless the U.S., Texas, and Jack County.
There's still some chairs over here, up here, that's empty. Everybody wants to sit. And then I think we're out of chairs.
Coming back to the wall.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That hat on needed.
Okay. I'm going to have the commissioners, Precinct 1, speak next. Brian, you want to go first? Brian Isabel.
Good evening. Thank you for turning out tonight. I didn't probably speak for Sharon. I don't think we anticipated this many folks coming out, but we appreciate your interest in it. My name is Brian Isbell, and I have a lifelong resident of Jacksboro so far. And I am married to my wife, Tammy, who's in the audience. We have 2 children who are in high school. And I'm running for Precinct 1 County Commissioner. I have a lot of people that come up to me and say, Well, you're running against Gary. I like to tell everybody this. Gary's a friend of mine. Has been forever. I'm not necessarily running against Gary, just running for his spot. And so, when we first talked, and I will tell you what Gary said to me, and it was a fine statement. Gary said, regardless of who the winner of this is, Jack County will be in good hands. And I think he and I both feel that way. So thank you for that, Gary. The reason I'm running, because I have a lot of people ask me, I've spent 12 years on the city council of Jacksboro, so I have some municipal experience. And those of you in the audience, some there are, if you spend any time on city council, it's pretty much trial by fire a lot of times. And so the experience that I had there has given me the ability to come and run for this position, knowing pretty much what I know going in as far as municipal government, as far as budget preparation, and as far as basically getting up every day to be a good steward of the taxpayer dollars that you're entrusted with. You asked me, so what are you going to change? I don't know so much about change. I know as a county commissioner, the most tangible thing and connection you have with your constituents when you're out there is that gravel road. And I understand that. And I understand that, as Mr. Burton said a moment ago, you got to get that water off that road, and that's the main thing. And you want them to last and pour your ditches so that the water has some place to go. I do understand all of that. But I also understand that in addition to that, you must have a working knowledge of what it takes to spend those dollars wisely. I'm not saying that's not being done right now, but I do have the experience of that. Over the last 8 years, I've been in my career choice has been in a financial advisorship role, and in those times, I have managed pretty close to about $220 million of other people's money. So I know what it means to put money out there, put it into an investment, put it someplace where you're going to get your best return on it. I'm familiar with that, and I bring that to the table as well. Also, with my secular work history, I've owned several businesses throughout my career, managed several employees. Part of that job when you have employees, as you well know, a lot of that time is you've got different personalities and you've got to be able to manage those, and I have the ability to do that as well. So the things that I would like to see us move forward on in Jack County is, my wife and I we are going to be blessed to be stewards of land that has been in her family for 50 years. Going with that, and one of the things that I see coming to us eventually, and I think it's going to be sooner than most of us are thinking, is the population expansion that's coming to us from the Parker County and Wise County area. And I know that it encroached on Wise County a lot faster than they had prepared for, and I believe Parker County as well. I've spoken to several county commissioners in the surrounding area, as well as 2 county judges that have given me their input and basically told me, you know, we've been playing catch up ever since it started coming, and I want to see Jack County get ahead of that curve. I want to see us prepare for that. And I know that the Commissioner's Court is doing that in the southeastern portion of the county, but I believe that we've got to find something. We've got to find something to be able to. I hate to use the word regulate, but that's basically what we're going to have to do is protect against that population that's coming this way. Second thing I see a concern with is I would like to see some building codes established within the county. I've spoken with first responders who have gone out on structure fires, and after the fire is put out, they discovered that the construction on that building wasn't up to par. And if they had put a fireman on that roof, there was a good chance it would have collapsed because of poor structure on that. And I would like to see building codes implemented there. I would like to also see the citizens inside the city limits of Jackson that last election. Of those 269 votes, only 71 votes were cast by citizens that live within the city limits of Jacksboro. Now, of those 1,125 registered voters, 747 of those are live in the city limits of Jacksboro. So the turnout was less than 10% of those folks who live in Jacksboro. And now when I knock on doors and when I tell people what I'm there for, I get a common question back to me. They ask me, they say, I live in the city limits, I get all my utilities, I get everything from the city. What do I actually get? What does the county actually do for me? And I'm going to tell you, that's kind of a tough question to answer. But the thing that I tell them is this, twofold. Number one is obviously you have the sheriff's department that are bringing the law enforcement protection and that will back up and work hand in hand with the police officers in the city of Jacksboro. That's number one, of course. You've got the convenience of the county court, you've got the courthouse being right here so you can come in and get that professional service that you're accustomed to. But also tell them this, you got to have somebody that's sitting in that seat of that county commissioner, whether it be myself or whether it be Gary there, that is working every day with the mindset of being a good steward of taxpayer dollars. And that's what they get. Now, what I'm trying to also get told to them is being the fact that they make up 66% of the registered voters in precinct 1, and yet only 10% or less are voting, I believe they need to take a more active role. Because I believe if you're registered to vote, and if you don't show up to vote in an election, and quite honestly, I don't think that you have much of a leg to stand on if you have a complaint. Because I think that vote is your voice, and I think that's the way your voice can be heard. The last thing I'd like to see us do is I'd like to see, as will oftentimes happen when you have a city government and county government housing within the same city, I like to see more of a collaborative effort working together. And I don't think that has any reflection on the current commissioner's court or the current county judge. I think there's been a little bit of stalwart in the past. I think that's coming back. I think that the working relationship is much more solidified than it ever has been in the past. And I'm proud to hear that. I'd like to be a part of that going on. I would also, my last thing is I would like to see the county, the city, the school, and anybody associated with that. I'd like to see us work on tackling the problem of we have student population that are either homeless or they are what they call unoccupied or unaccompanied, excuse me. We have several students in our school systems right now that go home every night. They may have a roof over their head, but they don't have a parent living in the house. Or maybe they don't have an adult living in the house. And too often, when that adult leaves after about 30 days, there are no city utilities anymore on that house. And I would like to see us as a county, and as a city and the school, work together to try to combat that. As it stands right now, there's the latest reports 2017, there are right at 133,000 homeless or unaccompanied students in Texas. I would like to see us try to tackle that. So, I appreciate your vote. I will answer any questions you have, of course, after the meeting. But if you would please, just when you go to the polls, if you will just consider me for this position. I thank you very much.
Gary, Oliver, who's our incumbent, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Good to see everyone this evening. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to serve everyone. Reflecting back on what Henry said, and the part of the Commissioner's Court is a large part of what we do, and being a part of that team is very important to me. It's, a lot of people don't see what we do there. The tasks that we have at hand, we do work on ordinances to protect the county, to protect your water, protect your safety. But having Henry in there and working with the judge we're really a very good team. It's just there's so many things that we do up there it's hard to explain. But I have a servant's heart, and I always have had a servant's heart. It brings me pleasure to serve y'all. And everything I do, y'all, most of y'all know me quite well, know the businesses I have, and everything that I have is serving all of you. And I think that's one reason I've excelled it. And I want to keep doing it. I want to keep serving y'all. And I always want to hear your problems. I always try to jump on just as quick as I can and as orderly as I can. I have to prioritize. Sometimes my priority is not the same as other people's priority. But it's always close to my heart to get the jobs done for y'all and make y'all safer and happier. I don't have a very long-winded speech. It's just kind of who I am. But anyway, appreciate the kind words too. Brian's a fine job. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Very good. Okay. This leaves our sheriff candidates. And after that, we will do questions. I will take them one at a time. I'll kind of give you the rules right here. Those remain courteous. If you're not courteous, if you get in, you'll be escorted out. I have already appointed a sergeant at arms because I have been hearing so many bad things, and we're not being difficult. So y'all just know that up front. R.C. Langford is our challenger, and he will go first.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm R.C. Langford. come from South Texas. We bought a ranch up here 8 years ago, and then retired and moved to Jacksboro in 2015 with my wife Sherry sitting out here. We have 2 kids. One of them's in law enforcement currently, and 3 grandchildren. My wife retired from law enforcement and is now currently a substitute teacher at the middle school in Jacksboro. I'm going to wait and get back to the meat of this whole thing right here, what people want to hear. What are my objectives? I would like to raise the level of professionalism of the Jacksboro Sheriff's Department by increasing education and training for staff regarding state and federal laws. Criminal investigation, report writing, and officer safety is a must. I do not want our officers, when I get in office, be listed as a Brady officer, where they might have messed up a case, and that way we will get on the naughty list of the DA. You don't want that. I have extensive background in narcotics investigation. I work multi-agencies, and I walk in these doors I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Too many citizens have complained to me of narcotic activity and are not getting satisfactory results. I also want to see that citizens of Jackson County have a more approachable sheriff's department and sheriff. I want that the people out here know that they will have my cell phone number, personal or duty cell phone number, to call me 724. Not call the dispatchers and say, we'll get the message to them. I want to be able to get a hold of me, because I want the buck to stop on me when something happens. I want to be able to get a hold of them. I had a gentleman on the cattle and reported some missing cattle. And they basically were told that a deputy take the report. That's not going to happen with me. If I'm in here, you walk up to me, tell me something's stolen, I will go out in my truck, get my pad and pen, I will take the report, enter it myself, and call you and give you the case number. I'm a working sheriff. That's the way I want to be. When a citizen calls for help, I want to see a response. I want to see a report. If the citizen isn't happy with that response, I want them to know they can call my phone direct and get a hold of me, and I will take care of that. So that's some of the things I'm looking at. So what are my qualifications? 35 years plus law enforcement. I have over 33 years of law enforcement experience as a special agent. And I know a lot of people in this audience don't know what a railroad police officer is. They have no clue what we've done. And I'm going to kind of give you just a gist of it. My department was responsible for 32,000 miles of track. That's employees, buildings, vehicles, and moving stock to protect. It's a lot. Our model for our department, the way it was, when they created the FBI in 1907, was modeled after our department, Union Pacific Railroad Police Department. So, and another thing we were very proud of, we worked hard at it, took 3 years, CALEA. I know you're familiar with CALEA, Tommy? Okay. CALEA is Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, which is the highest standards a police department in the United States can receive. It's hard work to get this accreditation. Only 17% of U.S. law enforcement agencies have earned CALEA accreditation, and our department was one of them because of the way we work. From there, I've worked everything from simple thefts to homicides. One of the cases that I really enjoyed working on, some of y'all might remember, was the Rafael Resendez Ramirez case. Anybody know what that was? Serial killer? Went all over the United States and Mexico and killed over 15 people. I was assigned to that with the FBI. I coordinated many searches throughout Texas looking for him. And then he was caught down in Mexico where Texas Ranger Drew Carter brought him back on July the 13th, 1999. We were glad he was caught. It was a headache for us. I've been with the Sheriff's Department, 1979 through 1981. I know the workings of the Sheriff's Department. I know how civil papers are served. I've worked cattle thefts, so I know how the Sheriff's Department works. I know how budgets work. In my department, I had budgets. I worked the Crossing Accident Care and Reduction Enforcement Program. I was given a budget. I was given a budget for the K-9 program. I was a K-9 officer from 1998 to 2015. So I know how to work budgets. If I'm going to work a budget, that's where you call in your chief deputy, your jail administrator, your patrol administrator, and you basically tell them, I got $100,000 and how do we need to spend it? Let's break it down and do it. And that's how we're going to work budgets. I was assigned to the, I worked Secret Service with the Secret Service, protecting Obama, well, from Reagan on down to Obama, which was a great task. Which we had great confidence in you by doing the thing by the President, we've done no more than 5 feet away. I've been asked by people why hadn't I ever promoted being with the Railroad Police. As an entry-level special agent, I was asked that. Well, I did promote from a special agent to a senior special agent 2, which is 3 promotions. Some asked why I didn't go any higher. My salary when I retired was $98,000 plus benefits. I did not want to promote no higher. If I would have promoted any higher, I would have left the Houston division and transferred to another state. My family and kids were there, so I didn't want to. I was making good money, and I enjoyed working a dog. I enjoyed looking for suspects, looking for narcotics. So that's what I did. I currently work part-time as a relief inspector for the Texas Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association. And buddy, if you ain't never looked at Wichita Falls and looked at every cow and every one of those pins and wrote down every branch, you don't know what it's like. It's hard. It's hard. The way I look at things, if I'm going to be a sheriff, I'm going to be a leader. I'm not going to sit at a command post and tell my men to go out and do something. I'm not going to tell my men to do something that I won't do. If I tell them to go out and do a search, I'm going to be right beside them doing the search. That's the kind of person I am. So basically, that's about it in a nutshell. If y'all are interested, I know Tommy said he's the most experienced. I do have my TCLO records. I have Tommy's TCLO records. Y'all are welcome to look at them. Look at them the hours. Look at, I've been in 2 paid police departments. You can look at his and see where he's been. All of mine has been patrol investigation. Some of his has been mostly jail administration. Y'all welcome to come look at them. That's all I have. God bless. Thank you. Appreciate your support.
We will have a speech now from Chris Burlock, our current sheriff, incumbent sheriff.
Well, my presentation won't be near that long. And I'm going to use no. I'm glad to see that we have had a good turnout this year. We've done these in the past and not been fortunate to have that many. We've got some very important elections to be decided this year, so whether you vote for me, RC, or whoever, just get out and vote and get all your friends to too. We need to have people out there voicing. I'm proud to have served as your sheriff for the last 3 years. I would ask for your support in the coming election. Still things that we'd like to do. We've been very fortunate in accomplishing some of the things. One of the deals that I talked about 3 years ago was, or 4 years ago, sorry, was about housing inmates for other counties. Well, we've been doing that. We've been kind of told that we'd never be successful, but we have. We've collected over $144,000 in doing that, contracting to hold inmates from other counties. We've also, when we first took office, the inmate phone that they used back in the jail, the contract was signed and we got no commission whatsoever, 0 commission. And in the last 3 years with it, we've been able to collect over $30,000, so over $175,000 in the last 3 years that we've been able to bring into the county. In our if we get the re-election, we've still got programs that we've started that we want to continue with. We've got a Citizens Police Academy going on. We've got an Explorer Post. We want to get more involved with the kids' programs, stuff that we're hearing about more and more. This week and a half ago, we had a missing person, a runaway juvenile in Bryson. And our people that were able to access computers, we found out that there's a lot of stuff going on that we didn't really realize. The educators didn't know it, the superintendent didn't know it, the school board. And so we're finding stuff that we're going to have to address there more and more, and checking other counties or other schools to see if they're having the issue as well. We're going to try to get our inmate work program kicked back up if we can get some things going on it. There was a lot of use that people, nonprofits and government offices got out of the use of that. And so we're trying to get that back going. I'm welcome, any of you are welcome to look at my P-code records. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I have moved from time to time to different places for the opportunity to advance more. Some of these smaller departments, once you hit a certain spot, that's where you're going to stay unless you move around. We've just now gone to the computer programs in the car where we can do some things on it that we aren't able to do, weren't before. And all I can do is ask for your continued support. I've had a lot of people been very active to work with me and support what we're doing. And I just ask for your continued support.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. There have been people who made lots of trouble. Back here done. Y'all take a break, get you some water, some coffee, something to eat. For some of the ballot candidates at the tables and some of the store over there. And y'all need to grab one, read them over, go to the website, and vet these up ballot candidates. I know we don't have to worry about his justice over here because he's not opposed until the middle side comes in. Action, but I don't think those are all. So, they're there for your information. I even put what I got in the mail in there for extra because I really hadn't got anything from him until that, so I'm sharing that after I read it. And, anybody up here? Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to take questions. We're going to take 3 questions for each candidate. If it's an opposition candidate, then the other candidate will also have an option to respond. So y'all decide who you want to ask questions. And we're going to start with questions for the ones that are not opposed, and then they're going to sit somewhere else or do whatever they want to do. Y'all let me listen. Or you can stay there, either way.
I've got a question.
Yes, Judge.
It's for Miss Sharon Robinson.
State your name, please.
My name is Keith Humphreys, and I'm your Jack County judge. And I have the funny hat, so anyway. Sharon and then also Commissioner Birdwell had, and I want to add kudos to our treasurer, Brad Campsey, made a statement about we made an unpopular change. For 20 some odd years, we have been with a collection, a law firm that collected our taxes. So would you give us a little more history and the success that we've had in a short period of time? Kind of give us a, why did we make a change?
Can I answer that?
Every day, well, you every day. Sure, it's a question for both of you.
In layman's terms, they weren't doing their job.
Maybe.
Good reason.
More politically correct, we had suits that had been filed as far back as, say, 2008 or 9 that were still sitting there. I don't know the whole process exactly how it works, but I know there's certain paperwork and things they have to do, a paper trail, they have to do a title history, and they have to locate all the owners that are, the property owners that are in the ownership of the property. They have to notify everybody. They have to notify all the lien holders. They have to get responses back. So it does take time. But when you called your attorney's office and you said, we've got this tax number over here that owes us about $6,000. Now, granted, the amount they owe us would be about 2.5 times that of the appraisal district. So if they owe us $6,000, you can imagine what they owe the appraisal district. That's quite a chunk of money that's sitting out there when you collect it. The other time, people will ask us, well, how long do they wait? Do they wait 2 years, 4 years? They don't have a set amount of time. They will look at a property that it might have 5 or 6 years due that finally builds up to enough that they're willing to go and sue and get that property or the money for that property. Or it may be that there's only 1 year due, but it's $5,000 or $6,000, so they're like, let's go now. But if we bring something to their attention, we expect them to do something. And it wasn't getting done, and we would run across, we're pulling up an account again, and you put in a list of names, and you start looking, and there's a big number out there. You're like, hey, I've already turned that over. Why has something not been done? And for example, the one that 8 days, I think Keith and I have talked about this, 8 days into the new contract with our new attorneys, we did a business personal property seizure here in town that netted $215,000 on day 8.
Hey, Henry, what does that calculate to our tax rate to our citizens?
6 cents.
So that one effort yielded a 2-cent reduction to our tax rate.
Yes.
In essence,
Yes.
that's how we have to do our budget.
And that property had already been, a suit had already been filed by the previous attorney 4 years earlier. And yet, nothing had been done. And as soon as the new one got in there, we pointed that out to them, and they said, they've already got a suit on it, so we can't intervene on their suit, but we can figure out what we can do. They filed a tax warrant, called me and said, are you ready to go? And I said, let's do it. So, like I said, within 8 days, they brought that $215,000 in. A week later, we got word that another business in town was closing. And anytime you have a business that's going out of business, especially with business personal property, and I'm talking trucks, trailers, vacuum trailers, water tanks, whatever they've got, that's movable property. They can sell it overnight, they can take it to another county. If it leaves the county, there goes your tax money, it's gone. So as soon as we get the word that a business is closing, of course we notify the attorneys and we say, this is what we've heard. Are you good with your information? I'm like, I'm good. It came straight from the owner's mouth. So we showed up out there, and that was another $25,000 a week later. So, there was another business in town that went out of business, and we notified the previous attorneys, and for whatever reason, they never did anything, and those trucks got sold to somebody else, and that's $35,000 that we lost. We can't do anything about it. He's already sold them to somebody else. It's in those trucks and trailers are in somebody else's name. But we notified him, hey, he's going out of business. There's somebody coming in here changing these titles out of this business name, going into another business name. He's getting out of business. It came from the truck driver that brought these titles in. nothing was done, that money is gone. Val, I'm telling you, I get aggravated over stuff like that. I don't like to see that money go. And I'm still, the statute of limitations has not gone out, and I'm still working with these new attorneys. Can we get it? So they're trying to see if they can do anything. But we're trying to get the word out that if you owe delinquent taxes, they mean business, and they're gonna come and get it. We're gonna work with anybody. If you got a property that you've let go and you've got taxes, if you call us and you get into a pay agreement and you're consistent with your payments, they can't do anything to you. They can't come and take your property if you're trying to pay the taxes. But it's the people that sign a contract, oh, I want to get these paid, and then they don't pay. They don't pay month after month, or they don't pay their current year taxes, then they're in default again. And they're not going to have patience with that. They're saying, if you're not going to, commit to the terms of the contract, we're going to sell your property. It's as simple as that. They mean it. So, yes, I think they're doing a great job, and y'all absolutely made the right decision.
Anybody else for any of the opposed candidates? Yes? State your name.
My name's Frank Hefner. I live in precinct 3, and my question is to my commissioner, Mr. Birdwell. Ask him about what?
Burn ban.
No, Henry, I know you're running unopposed, but I was just going to ask the question, is there anything that you have on the agenda that you're looking at into your next term with plans, either in your precinct or even in the county, as far as what you would like to see done in your next term?
As far as precinct, the roads are going to be another major, that's going to be what I'm going to be judged on. As far as my precinct, we're going to continue working those. I'm not going to deviate on dumping rock first before I get the road corrected. And that's going to take a little bit of time. As a whole for the county, we are going to be looking at subdivision ordinances coming up. That's been addressed, that is already being looked at. Also, I'd like to look at septic tank regulations, make sure that we're getting our septic tanks put in right, and have them inspected to protect our groundwater. And that's probably going to be the top 2 things on my list right now. No, ma'am, not a flagpole. The flagpole's an inside joke, guys.
Anybody else for one of our opposed candidates? It's up to the season. Yes.
Mike Mitchell, this is for our Brad Dixon. Why do we keep turning these people, slap them on the wrist, turn them back out, instead of throwing the keyway on some of these guys to keep, especially the drug users, just a rotating door on their drug problem? They're arrested.
Well, first of all, Mike, they get out, they're entitled to bail.
Yes.
So a lot of times when people see that, say, well, he got arrested yesterday and he's already out. Well, they're entitled to bail, but the bail is just so they have to show back up for court. Now, if you don't like the decisions I'm making, but we put them in jail. We put the ones in jail that need to be put in jail. As far as me being the prosecutor, we're just talking about misdemeanors. Now, you put them in jail, what's it cost today, Judge? $40 a day?
$45 a day.
Yeah, put them in jail. And so if they're the ones who we see all the time, we'll put them in jail. We'll put them in there for 140 days, 130 days, 160 days. So it may seem like they're just getting back out, but they're not. But another thing that happens, we'll put them in jail, and time goes fast for us out here. You can see them out there again because they've already served their 160 days. It just goes by. And so I think that's another thing. Another question, let's just address it. Why would we put them on probation? Well, we put them on probation, they can pay their fine, they can do their classes, they can do their community service, they can pay to be supervised, they have to take drug tests, they have to do all these things, and if they don't do exactly what they're supposed to, then we've got them by the short hair. I mean, we do, because all we have to do is I take it to the court and we prove a violation of the probation. We don't have to prove what they did, any of that stuff, because they've already pled guilty to it. So what happens is you take it in front of the judge, and the judge can, if they've already been convicted on it, he can just do whatever. He can sentence them to go do their sentence in jail. If they've been placed on deferred adjudication, he's got the entire range of punishment at his disposal. He can let's say it's a Class A misdemeanor. If he wants to, he can say, okay, you're doing a year in jail. But at the same time, you got to look at the overall scheme of things. Putting them all in jail all the time won't work, unless you want to pay about $10,000 more in your taxes. I mean, we try and balance it, and that would be my response to that question.
Yes.
John McGee, Bryson. Of the people you put on probation, how many of them actually do right and don't go back to the system? And how many
I mean, I don't keep records on how many do, but I would say most of them get put on probation, successfully complete their probation. I mean, I don't keep up with it, but yeah, we plead a lot more than we see having to be revoked, and we revoke them, you know, when they need to be revoked. I mean, we've got one guy right now, we keep putting him in jail, putting him in jail, putting him in jail, and he gets back out. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's, if you get a public intoxication and you get too many of them within a certain time frame, it takes it from being a Class C, which is essentially a ticket, up to a Class B, which is up to 180 days in jail. And the first time he did that, we put him in jail for 120 days. The next time, we put him in jail for 160 days. And I saw him walking down the street the other day, you know. So what are you going to do with him? I mean, keep putting him in jail.
Yes.
Charlie Evanson, and my question is to you. Do we have, I know you can't make people change unless they want to, but is there a mechanism in there to help these people to, or is that part of their probation, to maybe change and get off the drugs?
Yeah. If it's any kind of a drug thing, we make them take the drug offender classes. Probation does a good job of offering all those things to them. I'll tell you something else, and Judge, and we all of us in law enforcement can tell you this. Most of these people who have a drug and alcohol problem, and they're scoundrels out there, once they're in jail and they dry out for about 30 days, they turn back into normal people, is what really happens. But to answer your question, Charlie, when they're on probation, that's our goal. We don't want them. And if you come up to the probation office, you'll see all kinds of classes, 12-step recovery, celebrate recovery, different things, because, and we have had some success, but to be honest with you, with the drug deal, my own observation is they generally go back to it, even if you put them in jail, even if you put them in prison. Now, I don't know, Mike, what do you think? Is that, I mean, I don't know if you've been on the ground with it like that.
Well, from our standpoint, looking at it from the appeal, you see a lot of recidivism, people cutting back through the system, But the real big problems that I see are in the meth.
Absolutely.
Because they're stealing it, they're killing for it, they're using it, they're selling it, they're stealing it, or it's the thing that's behind the other crime that's going on. And so, I mean, that's
we see that all the time now. Since I'm the county attorney, I don't, the district attorney prosecutes those. But yeah, I mean, we get crossover cases where they're arrested for maybe marijuana or whatever, but they're also a meth addict. Because whenever we take their urine sample on probation, we find out. And so yeah, meth is the one that is currently, to me, the worst. Now, I don't know about heroin. I don't know about that. I know it's really bad. It seems like meth is more widespread.
It seems to have it seems to have a more violent effect on people.
Yeah, and Charlie, but that's our absolute goal. We don't want them committing crime. Just like we're talking about bonds and forfeiting bonds and all that, and we started doing that when I took office. And we don't want to forfeit your bond. We want you to show up for court, crying out loud. That's all we want. And but it ends up costing the bondsman, even if we get it back in, it'll cost the bondsman court costs and any money that the county's out to get the person back. So they're down in Taylor County, and we got to send a deputy down there. They're entitled to resolve that bond forfeiture case, but it ends up costing them about $350. And it went from being a profitable bonding to a not profitable bonding. And once again, we're not trying to get their money, we're trying to get them to have their person show up for court. Judge, all for that, I guarantee you.
Any other questions?
This is Brad, he's had his degree, he's done.
Y'all don't forget that Justice Wallach is down here too, he's had one already. Okay, anybody else for any unopposed candidates? Okay. I figured you'd say somebody else asked this question. We're not gonna do that. Okay.
Trying to be nice here.
So we're fixing to go into asking questions of our opposed candidates. And what we're going to do here, like I said before, there'll be 3 questions for each of those candidates. And the opposite candidate will have a equal amount of time to respond or answer that question as well. So it will be equal for both candidates. Okay, so if that opposed one is going to go sit in the audience, you can, you can sit here. Just whatever you want to do. They're used to being here.
All for one?
Okay, so.
Somebody sleeps on the back road, I was like.
And let's start out there. But in their defense, I did keep the front row open in case we had any other ballot candidates. Okay, so we have 2 positions that are opposed, with the incumbents opposed. Sheriff incumbent Tom Spurlock. The incumbent for Commissioner Precinct 1 is Gary Oliver. The opposition, well, let's get enough. It's opposition. Well, the other part of that is the contested,
Just pick that.
yeah.
Sit on RC Langford.
It's opposition candidate, R.C. Langford, sheriff. The challenger, and the challenger is Brian Isbell for Commissioner Precinct 1. So, y'all have questions for any of those?
I got one for all of them.
State your name. But remember,
This is an easy one.
if you get an answer from every one of them, that is one question for every one of them.
Oh, that's fine.
Don't screw it up for the rest of us, T-Ball, come on now.
There's been a lot of divisive talk on Facebook. And I
Yes,
think we
there
can-
is. That's why I come in here ready to
I
battle.
know, and that's why I want to ask each candidate contested if they will pledge
Is that okay
to
with
stop the
everybody
divisive
here?
talk and
Okay, wait a
run
minute.
them
Is
their
that
mouth.
okay with everybody here if he asks one question of each candidate? Because it will take away everybody's one question.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. State your name.
T-Bob Baker. And I just want to, as I said, there's a lot of divisive talk on Facebook. I just want to ask each candidate that's running opposed, if y'all want to agree here to stop the divisive talk and run on your merits. You know, we're not Democrats, we're Republicans.
Amen.
Okay. Let's get an answer. Start at this end.
Yes, I will run a clean campaign.
anything on Facebook.
Mr.
Yes.
Joy?
I will run a clean campaign. If no other stones are thrown.
No, you didn't.
Would you repeat that much? I didn't hear it.
Do what, Tom?
You said you run a clean campaign and then said something else, but I didn't hear it. What did you say?
I said, if nobody throws no other stones.
Okay, so you got a butt. Thank you.
Do what? Excuse me, sir. What did you say?
Your answer was.
No, my answer when I got through, I told her, yes, I will run a clean campaign. Did you not hear that?
Yeah, I heard that, but I heard something
He
else.
jokingly said unless, what was he said?
Right.
Unless,
Right.
yeah, something.
We equivocated on the answer. Just want to make that clear.
Okay, so that's one. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Don?
My question is for RC.
Yes, sir.
RC, I'm John Berry. I live out on the west side or east side of Jack County on Philip Ranch Road. My question for you is running for sheriff. You know, you listed off your extensive accomplishments. But as I understood, you also ran for JP in 2016. And then you also ran for chief of police in Jacksboro in 2017. Is that correct?
That is correct. I did not make it to the interview process for the chief of police. I did not know why. And I did apply for the JP job. I gave them my resume. And Mr. Humphrey's going to have to answer that question why I wasn't picked.
But you answered the question.
Yeah.
He's not on, you're not on,
Yeah.
you're not up.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to respond or anything to that? Same thing? Okay. That is two questions to RC. One for Sparlock, one for Isdell, and one for Oliver. Who's next?
I got one.
Yes, sir?
Actually-
Your name?
I'm Craig, do you want to do it?
I'm sorry?
Actually, he wants to do it.
He's going to defer to me, so.
Where are you?
Say your name.
Yeah, I'm Mike Smith.
I know everybody
I'm the-
talking y'all, but I gotta have on the page here.
Mike Smith, city man or manager, however you want to phrase that. But,
Who's this directed to?
actually, I would like to direct it if the room is okay. If I could follow in T-Bob's shoes and direct it to all of the opposed candidates, but I'll only do so if we've got
Okay.
consensus.
Is that all right with everybody, since I will only do one question?
Okay,
One more.
so I want to direct this to all the candidates. So given that 50+% of your constituents live inside the city limits, what can, and I'm not looking for specifics, just in general. What are your goals, objectives? What do you want to do to keep a good relationship between the county and the city? And what can you do to actually, help the city out? And again, I'm not looking for, we'll give you X, Y, and Z, but in general, what do you feel like you can do to help maintain and actually improve the relationship between the city and the county?
Okay, RC, you want to start that one?
You bet. When I get elected, the first thing I'm going to do is sit down and meeting with you and the chief, and I'm going to rebuild relations with the sheriff's department and the police department. There, I want to go in and do a combination team of our deputies and your police officers to fight the drugs in Jacksboro, in the crime. Because on the drug part of it, if you have drugs, you're going to have thieves. And they go hand in hand. So if we can work with that problem, we can curtail the drug problem. Number three, I would like to sit down with the owners of these houses where the drugs are being sold at and see how they're vetting their renters. Are they running criminal histories on them? What are they doing? So if we can stop them from renting to people with criminal histories, we slow down this drug problem into our towns.
Thanks, sir. Good job.
As you know, you and I talk on the phone periodically. We volunteered to try to get everything we could. Everybody working together. Frank and I had a meeting this morning with the judge about the cop center that we're going to do. And if he wasn't moving in office today, we would have been in chair office. But we plan to meet with you hopefully tomorrow. We're all for working with all the law enforcement agencies. We work with DPS, Parks and Wildlife, and have made quite a few. Matter of fact, we've increased our drug arrests in the last 3 years by 75%, and a lot of them are here.
Thanks, sir.
I can't, being commissioner, of course, we can't tell any other elected official how to do their business, but we, the police department, the law enforcement is such a large part of everybody's concern. And, but I do encourage the sheriff and that department to work with the city department. And I encourage you too. Of course, Mike and I have a relationship. I was on the city council. And, but I can't do any more than that in that department. I've also, it was my turn to get another piece of equipment, a blade. And I went to talk to the city about, because I was trying to get a new one, and there's a fifth precinct which has money in it that we each, it comes around each one of us that we can spend and use to buy equipment to help the county. It was my turn this last year to purchase another blade, and I did so, and I talked with the city about taking my oldest blade, which was still a very good piece of equipment, and work with them on price, work with Commissioners Court on price to come up with something that was fair, and quite a bit of homework there. But any equipment that we can do, that's a large part of helping the city streets. It's an uphill battle, but that's, I want to continue to working with the city in that direction to help the betterment of that. Anything I can do. Those are not streets I take care of, but what I can do to help you on that is, we have a good relationship. So it's a good relationship.
I agree. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Isbell.
Like Gary, I've seen it from the city side on the municipality, being on the council for the vote because I was there. My number one thing in any situation, whether it's in this one or in life in general, I think you got to have good, honest, open communication. And I think that once you have that and you get all your cards on the table, not saying that my way is going to be your way, your way is going to be my way, but I do believe that there's always somewhere in there that we can find some common ground. But you can't do that if you're not talking. And I believe that's, I don't know, again, mentioning these questions, not pointing a finger at current administration or government, it's just fact what it is. But I believe that open communication is the key. One of the things, I listened to Gary talk about the blade, I think on that deal, on a situation like that, if maybe, I'm assuming you sold it to the city?
Yes, we did.
Okay. On that one, as far as a county looking at it, and we actually strapped a lot of times, maybe I look something more along the lines of maybe loaning that to the city whenever they needed it instead of selling it. And in turn, I retained one for an extra one. I don't know if that's an option you have, but I retained one for an extra. I got a spare blade, and it's at your disposal whenever you need it. But more than anything else, also there's maybe some things that the city and the county can work together on in kind without charging to extend that hand of cooperation. I think that's where we need to go. I think that's an avenue that we can pursue without it costing, out of your budget or out of your budget.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have one more question for Sheriff Spurlock, one for Mr. Isbell, one for Mr. Oliver. After that, we will dismiss and y'all can get into groups and start talking to your candidate of choice when we get to that point. Yes, sir.
I have one, Stuart Chalmers, resident of Jacksonville. One for the sheriff. I hate to start this off with this, but during the prior presidential not campaign, but election, being under Obama, one of the initiatives that came about through Ferguson and everything else was an emphasis on more professionalism in the police force, becoming more recognized. I know, having worked for two agencies that are both either recognized or accredited by the Texas Police Chiefs Association, as well as CALEA, what that brings to a department as far as training, as far as professionalism, with emphasis on hiring and getting the right people in the right jobs with the right qualifications. Is that something that you would move forward to or look at going forward to bring into the department to ensure that we are getting the best people in the jobs that need to be there and not the riffraff that needs to be elsewhere?
I think with the group that we've got right now, we've been very careful. We've had large interview boards involved in it. We've had input from each person that sat on the interview board. We have gone through the meeting with the people that's holding the academy. Most of them we've got come from Vernon State College or from the police academy. I wouldn't be opposed to looking at any type of certification, but what you run into there a lot is money that they want bigger and better things, and it's hard to get through a rural county commissioner's court. I'm not saying nothing bad about them, but budget's not all that big. I don't know about the accreditation stuff. I mean, I could look at it. I just know that having talked with different chief administrators from different agencies, that it was just expensive. I couldn't move forward.
You have a response to that?
Clearly is expensive, but there are funds out there you can look at, try to get to aid with accreditations. I think accreditations is a big asset. Once your department gets accredited, it shows that your men are forthwith and have the integrity to do the job. And that's why we need to be looking toward accreditation. I mean, that's my head wants to explode sometimes. Integrity and honesty. If we don't have integrity in our deputies, we have nothing. Nothing. Thank you.
One more for Mr. Isbell and Commissioner Oliver. Questions?
I've got one if nobody else wants to talk. Why is subdivision rules and, this could be to Commissioner Oliver. Why are subdivision rules and regulations so important in Jack County right now?
Well, we don't have anything in place, and so anybody that comes into this county, any developer that wants to come in, whether they want to put a trailer park in, or any kind of a residential area, he can do whatever he wants to. Now, we can't tell him everything to do, but we can set some ordinances that can help. One of the largest things is protect our water. And then also, if he's gonna come in, he can't just come in and say, all right, I built some streets, I built a neighborhood, I'm done with it, now it's the county's responsibility. That's huge, because now the next thing you know, they're wanting us to pave roads, and we don't have equipment to pave roads. So the ordinances cover that ordinance covers so much. Covers your septic, your wastewater, like I said, your groundwater. You don't want, we want to protect the groundwater that we have. They've got to present a plan to come to us and say, all right, we're gonna do this, and this is how we're gonna do it. But and also the housing. It will sit there and it'll structure them how many houses they can put, or how many acres it takes for a house. We can set all kinds of standards that they have to go by, because we want good tax base, and we want good neighborhoods, and we're addressing this at a very appropriate time. Parker County is moving in this way, and these subdividers, it's all about money to them. It's not about money to us. It's about protecting the water.
Mr. Isbell, would you like to respond?
I agree with exactly what Mr. Oliver said about protection of the county. I spoke to that earlier. I would like to take it one step further, and obviously subdivision coming from the southeast is a concern. Our groundwater is a concern. The only part of our county that has any kind of aquifer under it is in the southeast portion of the county. So therefore, I do agree with that. I think we can talk to the citizens of Bryson, and you guys can talk about the groundwater going away. But in addition to subdivision ordinances, I think you've got to look countywide, and I think you've got to look at other stuff. Right now, we have no ordinances in place that restrict anybody basically from doing anything on their property. And I'm not here to tell you what you can do on this property, and when I sat on the city council for so many years, that was the number one complaint I would always have, was I can't stand these ordinances, I can't stand these ordinances, and I always explained to them, I said, I think you're viewing it from a different perspective than you should. I said, you look at it as an ordinance, as a restriction. And an ordinance, in my mind, is not a restriction, it's a protection. I mean, if I'm gonna go out and purchase a piece of property, and I'm gonna pay good hard-earned dollars, and I'm gonna buy 100 acres, and I'm gonna go out and take care of it, clean it up, and put a very nice house on it, I want some assurance, if it's through a county ordinance, that an individual's not gonna come by and buy the acre tract beside me and start stacking junk on it. And we don't have anything right now, and you can pretty well drive in any direction in our county and find right on the shoulder of the road, an eyesore. And not cutting anybody, not kicking anybody in the teeth. I spoke with the county commissioner over in Park County, and one of the biggest problems they have a gentleman over there who has been obeying the law forever, and he's still doing it, still obeying the law. But his way of earning an income was that he would buy small parcels of land and then start charging people to stack junk on it. Torn down mobile homes, blowing out tank batteries, or whatever the case may be. And until stuff starts setting up, they're pushing out that he can't do that any longer. So what it does is for him to continue to earn a living, he's got to go find property in adjacent counties close by to do that same thing. And I believe we need ordinances in place to be able to police against that, to protect landowners' property values. Last thing you want to do is pay hard-earned money for your land and then try to sell it 10 years from now, and it's not worth what you paid for it because of what you decided. So, yeah.
Okay, one more question for Mr. Isbell. Before anybody asks that, I want to remind y'all how important voting for the correct justices on the courts is. They are the ones ultimately that are going to take the conservative view of the law. They're the ones that are going to back us as conservatives as the Republican Party is. And it's important that we know who they are. It's important that we know they're conservative. And this man is. So if y'all have questions about that with him, I'm quite sure he would address it. Maybe even later when you're in a later with him.
I have to answer questions.
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, like for Brian.
I'm sorry.
For Brian? That's right.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's fine.
It's not just Brian, it would be the county judge, Gary, Mr. Budwell. That's wind turbines. I know that's a sore subject, and here's where I'm going with it. I don't know if you've been out to Albany, between there and Abilene. That particular project has been out there around 20 years. I hadn't been out there in a while. I went through. There are burned up wind turbines just sitting there doing nothing. And that's their expected lives, about 20 years. And some of these contracts that they negotiated with landowners don't really provide for them to have to do anything. So what I'm concerned about, and it may be, and I didn't come prepared tonight to do this, but it's jumped into my mind when you start talking about the junk being placed on property. And that's basically what those turbines are doing out there near Abilene. It's junk on the property. And I've researched it a lot. Some of the folks know here we fought the wind turbines very, very vigorously in 2006 and 2007, from a fiscal as well as tax dollars, where they were going or where they didn't go. And back then, I'll get off my high horse, we had our taxes raised in this county while they got a $175 million abatement. I never liked that. Imagine that. Anyway, let's be positive. These turbines are 13 years old out there at Martin Chapel. The other projects are coming. Peachy Wind had 140 something approved. The only ones they built are on Richards. There are still apparently abatements in place that extend across the Cherry Homes and head over west towards, or east, toward Wizard Wells. Are y'all thinking about that stuff in Jack County, what we're going to do so it's not junk sitting on people's properties in the future? I don't know if you have any jurisdiction over it or not. You may not, because those are individual contractors.
Can you address that to Rhonda? You address that to the three commissioners.
Whoever's got knowledge, I've talked about kind of anybody, I'm concerned about those things and what they look like out in West Texas, and we're approaching that time frame when that may come up. Looking ahead now.
Okay, when it's over with, you can talk to the judge.
Okay,
Right
great.
now, we need to address, if you want to address the three commissioners, or two commissioners and candidate, you're welcome to do that.
I think my commissioners are prepared to answer your question
Okay.
if you want to hear
I'm
it
ready.
answered.
I'm ready.
So the only one that has a question coming is Brian.
Well, that's who
But
I
the-
always thought a commissioner, but
Oliver
if
will
he
have an
is,
opportunity to respond to that.
Yep. Ma'am?
Mr. Oliver will have an opportunity
Oh,
to
okay.
respond to that.
That's right.
He can answer it too.
That's right.
And then Mr. Bardwell,
You said all of them.
You can't say nothing.
so you can hear from the two.
Okay, well, that's good, but all or none, I mean, it's whatever.
Help me understand the question a little bit. You're asking me
It
what
has
my
to do-
thoughts are on when they finally jump out. Is that what you?
Yeah, they're approaching their useful life, and that would be an anticipation of what you might do about it way ahead of time and be ready when it starts, because it will start.
I would love to speak intelligently on that, but if I tried to, I would show you my lack of intelligence, because simply for the fact that I wasn't privy to the meetings when they first started, so therefore I don't know the contingencies on that.
The only reason I picked on you is I couldn't ask anybody else.
It wasn't personal. I understand.
But I got my point across, because y'all are gonna tell me, and that's all I'm asking.
So Mr. Oliver,
I'll yield to talking to Keith one-on-one is fine for me.
Mr. Oliver can respond,
Okay.
because you asked.
Yes, I trust Gary 100%.
Well, that's a very good question, and it's come up in Commissioner's Court here lately. Not so much about the junk, it is about looking forward with what we can do to control the wind turbines that are coming in, which we want to encourage. We want to encourage business, but the right kind of business. So do we want a county that has an abundance of white poles, giant white poles sticking up? We absolutely do not. And I'm not, I've been in the part of some abatements with the city, and I look back on some of them and wished I hadn't done some of the things that I did, because, and then because I'm trying to play a card, look at it from their perspective on where Jack County is situated, and them looking for a source of energy. And I think we're holding a pretty good card. So I don't know. I want the industry, but I also don't want to do the abatements like we have in the past. And of course, I wasn't in there. I think Judge is smiling. I know he's got something there, a card that I'm not thinking of right offhand. But no, I do not want a bunch of junk, and I don't know in the past if there's, because it's industry, it's kind of hard to address. But
If I could just clarify, my concern had to do, I realize the other regime and so on has moved on. That's great, and I'm very happy with what we have.
Right.
And then from there, is looking forward is where we might go.
There's a part there too, I don't want to sacrifice the beauty of our county for tax dollars. Sometimes enough is enough. And like I said, we have touched base on this, but because we're one of the first places that whenever one of those businesses comes in, it's one of the first stopping places. Sure. And I don't hear much from the county, but I would love to know how everybody feels about it. We do need money, but how bad do I need it? How bad do I need it?
Your answer is totally satisfactory. I'll do the rest with Keith.
Sorry, Keith. Thank you, Ron.
I'll let you off the hook.
Hey, I'm running Nick 2 years from now. I got 2 years.
Okay, at this time, all the questions have been exhausted,
Can I speak directly to his question?
and we have time now to gather into your groups that you want to talk about. I also have a response to that from my state position. But, so we can do that in groups here in a minute. We're going to break up now into groups and talk to whatever candidates you want to, and ask questions and talk and whatever you want to do for the rest of the time you will be here.